Logan Paul hurt, Bron Breakker responsible, he cries out. Logan Paul just told you he got legitimately hurt on WWE television, and nobody's talking about whether it went too far. Nobody's asking if Bron Breakker crossed a line. Nobody's questioning if maybe, just maybe, the line between working stiff and working reckless got blurred in the chaos of Raw's main event scene. Instead, we're all focused on the swerve, the turn, the brass knuckles that laid out CM Punk while the Vision stood there smiling like they knew this was coming all along. But before Logan Paul became the snake everyone's calling him right now, before he knocked out the World Heavyweight Champion and aligned himself with Paul Heyman's Empire of Chaos, he was on the receiving end of an assault so brutal, he's still feeling it days later. Let me paint you the picture of what really went down. CM Punk wins the World Heavyweight Championship and cuts a promo like only the best in the world can. Logan Paul interrupts, because that's what Logan does, demanding his shot at Punk's gold with the kind of confidence only a guy who's never truly failed can muster. Words get exchanged, egos get bruised, and then the Vision emerges like vultures circling fresh meat. Paul Heyman does what Paul Heyman does best, turning a simple confrontation into a philosophical argument about who deserves what in this business. Bron Breakker deserves a shot. Bronson Reed deserves a shot. Logan Paul? He's just a tourist playing wrestler when it suits his content calendar. Then the violence starts, and it's not the choreographed, safe-for-television violence we've grown accustomed to. This is the Vision making a statement written in pain and humiliation. Bron Breakker, the genetic freak with his father and uncle's legacy coursing through his veins, unloads on Logan Paul with kicks that weren't pulled, weren't softened, weren't the theatrical strikes designed to look devastating while leaving minimal damage. These were receipts. These were messages. These were Breakker, reminding everyone watching that he's not just Rick Steiner's son playing dress-up. He's a legitimate force who will hurt you if that's what the moment demands. Logan Paul said it himself on his YouTube vlog, speaking to millions of followers who probably don't understand the difference between a work and a shoot, between selling and actually being in agony. He told them his growing to kicks from Breakker that legitimately hurt him, using language that makes it clear this wasn't just good selling for the cameras. This was real pain, real damage, the kind that lingers after the adrenaline fades and you're left wondering if you just took unnecessary risks for someone else's storyline. And if Breakker's assault wasn't enough, Bronson Reed delivered his tsunami with the kind of impact that made Paul's world go dark, his own words describing the moment consciousness flickered like a candle in a hurricane. But here's where the story twists into something darker, something that should concern every single person who cares about this business. Logan Paul took that beating. He absorbed that punishment. He got legitimately hurt by stars who supposedly didn't respect him enough to give him a title shot. And then hours later, in the main event, he came back. He limped to that ring when CM Punk was outnumbered, when the Yeet Master Jey Uso was broken on the outside after eating a spear that could have collapsed his ribcage, when the Vision was closing in for the kill. Paul played the hero, played the ally, convinced Punk that he was there to even the odds after surviving the Vision's earlier brutality. Then he pulled out brass knuckles and erased any doubt about what kind of man Logan Paul really is. He knocked out CM Punk, the man he supposedly came to save, the World Heavyweight Champion who probably believed for half a second that the Maverick understood what it meant to stand against the Vision's tyranny. One shot, one perfectly placed strike with metal wrapped around his fist. And just like that, Logan Paul went from victim to villain, from the man who got legitimately hurt to the man delivering hurt without remorse. The implications of this turn are staggering. Logan Paul just proved he's willing to take real damage, absorb legitimate punishment, suffer through Bron Breakker's stiff kicks and Bronson Reed's crushing weight, all to sell a deception that would end with him standing alongside Paul Heyman. That's not just commitment to a storyline, that's psychological warfare. That's the kind of long game most wrestlers can't play because they're not willing to sacrifice their bodies for a swerve. But Logan Paul isn't most wrestlers. He's a prize fighter who's taken real punches from Floyd Mayweather. He's a content creator who's jumped off buildings and crashed through tables for views. Pain is currency to him, and he just spent it to buy credibility with the Vision. Think about what this means for CM Punk. The man finally captures the World Heavyweight Championship after years of stops and starts, injuries and setbacks, contract disputes and returns. He's standing at the top of the mountain he's been climbing since he came back to WWE, and in one night he gets blindsided by a man he thought was an ally. Punk's dealt with betrayal before. He knows what it's like to trust the wrong people. But this is different, because Logan Paul didn't just betray Punk's trust, he weaponized his own suffering to make that betrayal land harder. Every kick Breakker delivered, every ounce of weight Reed dropped on him, it was all part of the setup for the knockout blow that left Punk unconscious and the Vision standing tall. And Bron Breakker, the man responsible for Logan's legitimate injuries, now has to share a locker room with him. Think about that dynamic. Breakker worked stiff, worked brutal, potentially crossed lines that shouldn't be crossed in a professional wrestling match, and his reward is having Logan Paul as an ally. Does Breakker respect Paul more now because he took the punishment without complaining to management? Does he regret how hard he went knowing Paul was about to join their side? Or does Breakker not care at all because in his world, in the world the Vision is building, pain is the language everyone speaks whether they're enemies or allies? Bronson Reed's involvement adds another layer of complexity. His tsunami is already one of the most devastating moves in WWE. A 330-pound man using gravity as a weapon, crushing opponents under a weight that would make most people tap out before impact. Reed dropped that move on Logan Paul, made his world go dark, left him struggling to breathe and remember where he was. And now Paul's standing next to Reed, aligned with the man who could have legitimately injured him with one miscalculated landing. That's either the bravest or most reckless alliance Paul could have chosen, and knowing his track record, it's probably both. Paul Heyman orchestrated this entire sequence of events with the precision of a chess grandmaster moving pieces 3 moves ahead of everyone else. He turned Logan Paul into a martyr first, letting the Vision brutalize him in front of the world, establishing Paul as a victim who deserved sympathy and support. Then he weaponized that martyrdom, using Paul's willingness to absorb punishment as proof of loyalty that even brass knuckles and betrayal couldn't diminish. Heyman didn't just recruit Logan Paul to the Vision, he bought him with violence and validated the purchase with Punk's unconscious body. The question nobody's asking but everyone should be demanding answers to is this: how much of Logan Paul's pain was planned, and how much was Bron Breakker going into business for himself? If those kicks to the groin were scripted to be that stiff, if Reed's tsunami